You've survived another week. Thank you for listening, downloading, and supporting the Black Man with the Gun Show podcast. I'm your host, Ken Blanchard, and this week celebrates the official 10-year anniversary of this podcast. Can you believe it? Yeah, podcasting for 10 years. Albert Einstein says that we should learn from yesterday, live for today, and hope for tomorrow. I'm going to do that with this episode. I'm going to start off with a little three-gun from my man Johnny King, and then Michael J. Woodland going to talk about the sling. You know, that thing that's on some people's rifles? Yeah. And then we're going to take a trip on the Wayback Machine to 2010 when I got a chance to be on the red carpet in Hollywood and had a natural blast. This is a time of year when I usually think about the past, and it's a good time to get yourself ready for the future. So I'll do that in this episode and hope you enjoy the journey. Got a couple of stars that you'll hear that I interview and my thought process for this podcast back in 2010. It's a little over an hour. I'm hoping that you enjoy the ride.
BlackManWithAGun.com, Ken Blanchard's Pro Gun Podcast.
One of the reasons there is music in church, in some churches, is that the first is to praise God. The second is to get everybody on the same sheet of music, literally. Get everybody's mind focused, everybody's heart focused, and I do that with this.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
See, we can talk about gun rights. We can talk about the latest firearms, shotguns and rifles, and you name it. But if you got a problem with my country, my flag, my constitution, then you won't like me or my show. Black Man with a Gun, Reloaded. Get the inside, the background, wisdom, information, and experiences of Reverend Ken Blanchard, CIA firearms instructor, gun rights activist, that has been involved in this community since 1991. Read about guns, the culture, the community, and the inside stuff behind what you see everywhere else. You can get it firsthand from the guy they call the Black Man with a Gun in his book on Amazon.com. Black Man with a Gun, Reloaded. Have you ever considered three-gun? You know, the competition. No? Well, here's an interview with a guy who started just a few years ago. And I asked him a few questions that maybe might inspire you to start. Yeah, you might be the only person of color doing it right now. But somebody has to start. That's how Johnny thought. So let's begin with our conversation. You heard him last week as well. Here's Johnny. All right, this week I'm going to talk to Johnny. Johnny's talking about three-gun, and you've been participating in the three-gun competition for a while, right?
I have. I've been doing that for about 2 years now.
How did you get started in three-gun?
I got started by being invited by some friends from IDPA. I'd been shooting IDPA for about 4 years now, and for a while, the guys there have been asking, hey, why don't you come out to three-gun with us? And it seemed like it was too expensive and a little bit out of my wheelhouse at the time. At the time, I didn't even have a shotgun. So they kept saying, no, you can borrow one of ours. But you know how ego is. You know, you want to go out there and take your own equipment and everything. So I finally invested in a shotgun and just showed up one day, and they were more than overjoyed to have me there.
Oh, that's cool. So what guns did you use?
The first time I went out, I used my Glock 19, a Maverick 88 pump shotgun, and my AR-15. I quickly learned that my biggest weakness was the pump shotgun. That three-gun is not the place for you to use a pump shotgun, especially one with a capacity of only 5 rounds. That's just, you're asking for trouble on that.
So what happened? Just slow on the reloads?
Way too slow on the reloads. Well, not just was I slow on the reloads, but I had to reload probably 3 or 4 times as many times as everyone else. When you go to 3-guns, a lot of these guys have race guns, and they have extended tubes on their shotguns. They're using semi-automatic everything. Some of the guys who run ARs, they have binary triggers in them. And for the listeners who don't know what a binary trigger is, it gives you one shot on the pull of the trigger, and then it also gives you another shot on the release of the trigger. So every pull of the trigger gives you essentially 2 shots. And so I'm running through these stages where we've got, say, 20 clay or 20 shotgun targets, and I'm only able to run 5 shells at a time. So I shoot 5. I may miss 2. So I've got to reload all 5, make up the 2 shots, reload again, try to take the next 5 shots, and rinse and repeat over and over and over.
Make you a good shot, though.
You would think that, but you start to rush, and the more you rush, the worse things get. And then on top of that, I didn't have a shell caddy for my shotgun shells. Everyone else had these shell caddies where they clip onto their belt. It's like a holster for their shells. And I was just digging them out of my pocket. So every
Old
time
school.
I needed to read, I'm pulling them exactly. I'm pulling them out of my pocket. I have to reposition them so that they're facing forward to put them into the magazine tube, and then rack one into the chamber. And it was just an absolute travesty. And I did that for the entire first year that I shot 3-gun. I learned after that first year that A, I got a lot better at doing reloads with the shotgun,
Right.
but B, it's no matter how good you get with it, sometimes your biggest limitation is your own equipment, and you have to upgrade.
Wow. Run us through a stage of 3-gun. What's it look like when you first show up, if you got all the right gear?
When you first show up, you're going to have all of your equipment. Your pistol is going to be in a holster. Your shotgun and your rifle are usually going to either be bagged, or what some people prefer to have is a gun caddy, which is basically a stroller, or a jogging stroller, which has been converted to carry a shotgun on one side, a rifle on the other side, and all of your equipment where the baby would sit. And this is an immensely powerful piece of equipment to have, because you don't have to bag up everything and move it from stage to stage. And a lot of these stages are they're within walking distance, but it's a good little bit of walking. So having a caddy like that works out really well. So when you actually stage or you stage your equipment for a shooting stage, your rifle is going to be at one place. Your shotgun is going to be at another place. Usually both will be on a table, and you'll have them loaded at the ready. Again, your pistol will be on your hip. The range safety officer will guide you through exactly what the order of fire will be. You'll start at position 1, and you'll engage targets 1 through 3 using the rifle. Then you'll dump the rifle, pick up the shotgun, and you'll engage targets 4 through 7. And then you'll dump the shotgun, and then you'll draw your pistol, and you'll engage targets 8 through 11. And once you're done shooting, and I'm sorry, it all starts with the buzzing of the timer. As soon as the timer goes off, that's when you start shooting, and the timer stops calculating after your final shot.
How much time does it usually take to go a whole stage?
The average is, if you're a good shooter, your average is about 50 seconds. I've never done that. I have never come in that fast. I've always been about a minute and a half. Some of the harder stages, They'll have a par time, which may be as long as 3 minutes. And there's been a couple of times when I have maxed out the par time.
All right. I got you. So now that you've been doing it a while, you don't have that same shotgun. What you got now?
I now have, it's funny because my initial purchase on buying the Maverick was because it was very inexpensive. I think I got that shotgun for $180, and its replacement was about 10 times as much. I got a Remington Versamax, and it got a 10-round magazine plus one in the chamber, semi-automatic, all the bells and whistles, everything that you can possibly think on it. I'm still learning new things about this gun that I didn't know were features on this gun. So I learned quickly that sometimes it is better to just buy once, cry once. Save up your money, buy it the first time. That way you don't have to purchase something once, twice, 3 times, make repairs, buy something else. Just save up and buy the best thing that you can the first time around.
Wow. Do you have to wear like special clothes too, or no?
No. Believe it or not, the only thing that is special equipment, I would say, is your belt, your shooting belt. You got to have a very supportive belt to hold all the ammo and all the magazines and everything that you have on your hip. Beyond that, though, there are some guys who go out there and have specialty shoes. They wear Solomon brand tennis shoes, which are basically trail running shoes. I didn't invest that much into my trail running shoes. I just got some Asics or some Reeboks that feel good on my feet and have a good tread to it so that I can grip the ground well. Other than that, I just go out wearing, if it's hot, I wear shorts. If it's not hot, I put on pants. There's some guys who wear the shooting shirts, which are like bowling shirts with all of their sponsors and everything on it. I don't have any sponsors, so I just go out there with whatever polo or T-shirt I feel like wearing that weekend, and a hat, because you got to keep the sun off your face.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So now that you've been doing it a while, do you see newbies out there too, or you're still at the bottom now?
No, every weekend is somebody new shows up, and they go through the exact same growing pains, it seems like I went through, which obviously I went through the same growing pains as everyone else. Everyone's kind of going out there and testing their own equipment, and they're testing their own skills, and they're learning what they're good at, and they're learning what they're not good at, and they're learning what equipment works and what equipment fails. And I think that if for nothing else, 3-gun is good for you to really test out your equipment. A lot of us have our firearms for the idea that we may have to use them in the defense of life at some point. And what do you do if that equipment fails you? How do you adapt to that? If you've never put your equipment into a situation where you have to figure it out, how will you know? So get it out there. Go out there on the range and stretch it out. Put it in situations that it's never been in before. Some of the situations, like with the pistol, you may not be unholstering it. It may have been sitting on a table that had dirt on it, that had sand on it, and now that sand is in the action. Will that cause the gun to jam? Will it make it harder for you to clear that jam? Have you had the opportunity to have to clear out a jam? So all of these types of malfunctions and everything, it really tests both your mettle as well as the ability of your equipment to deal with the worst.
Nice. So they do different things to set you up for malfunctions?
I've had malfunctions because I've induced them, and I've had malfunctions because the way that the stage is made. One of the things that you absolutely cannot do is drop a firearm. If you drop a firearm, you're disqualified, and you have to actually leave. You have to leave the range for the day. However, like with the shotgun, you're shooting on the move, or even with the rifle, you're shooting on the move, and all types of stuff can get in. You got dust flying around. We've shot in the rain, which induced, that put water into situations. I mean, this is Columbia, South Carolina. We get thunderstorms every afternoon during the summertime. And these are not little light spring rains. These are torrential downpours. And when you've got water collecting in the action of an AR or in the magazine, pouring out of the magazine, you're definitely introducing foreign materials into the gun that on a normal day going to a range, you're not having. So beyond that, I've induced malfunctions myself by putting a shotgun shell in backwards by accident, having to figure that out. I've had where on the pistol, the slide will go to eject a round and will not eject that round, that old shell out, but will flip it around and push it back into the chamber backwards. I've had that happen. And these are all malfunctions that you have to figure out on the go because the clock is still running. The clock doesn't stop just because you're having a malfunction. You got to figure it out.
Still using the Glock 19?
No. So one thing that I learned about the Glock is that for whatever the reason, I'm not very good at gripping it. And something about the grip angle causes me to naturally point it more at an angle downward towards the ground than straight forward. So I switched to the Smith & Wesson M&P 9, and I love that one. The way that it feels in my hand is a lot better than the Glock. And the whole reason for me getting the Glock was because it was kind of the Toyota Camry of guns. You know, when I went into the gun store, I didn't know any better, and they were like, well, get the Glock. It works for everybody. Well, to a degree, it kind of does, but it's not the best thing for everybody. And I found that the Smith & Wesson M&P is the better thing for me because ergonomically it works more for my body than the Glock does.
And this is like when you said that you got to try stuff out and get in competition so you can see what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
You would have never known that if you hadn't been in 3-gun, I guess. Exactly.
And I still have my Glock 19. I'm not going to get rid of it or anything like that, but I know it has its place. And that place is not in 3-gun. Not for me.
Oh, wow. Not for me. Okay, I got you. Tips for the new guy. Passing on, new person says, Johnny did it. I'm going to try it. What do you tell them to do?
Go. Don't be afraid to just show up. The first time that I went, I showed up and I had no intentions of shooting whatsoever. Everyone there, everyone in attendance wanted me to shoot. They were willing to loan me a rifle. They were willing to loan me a shotgun. They were willing to loan me a pistol, a belt, ammo, the whole 9 yards, just to try. And I still refused it because I just wanted to understand the rules. I just wanted to get an idea of what was going on with the game and the sport. And the second time that I went out with my basic stuff. I went with a pistol. I went with a right off the shelf pump shotgun, and I went with my AR-15. I kind of got an idea of what to bring based on the Facebook posting of the match, because when they have a match, they will let you know what the round count is. So you're not showing up with not enough stuff. You're not showing up with not enough ammo. So if you go there, make sure you've got the minimum required that you need. Other than that, don't worry about being competitive because you're not going to be. You are going to suck badly that first time. You're going to be so beyond horrendous of what your expectations were, and that's okay. Go there with the idea that you're just going to go have a good time, and do that. Go have a good time. Everyone there is going to have a good time with you. You're going to yuck it up between stages, and you're going to get to know everybody. So go there with a positive attitude and the minimum amount of equipment. That's pretty much what you should do on your first time.
Cool, man. Johnny, thank you, man. Thank you for this. And looking forward to hearing what folks say about Three Gun after they hear what you just gave us. So appreciate you, man.
I certainly hope that it sparks for somebody to go out there and give it a try. And if there's anybody who's there that wants to try, anybody out there who's listening from Columbia, South Carolina, or any of the surrounding areas, we shoot Three Gun at Sandhills Shooting Sports in Elgin, South Carolina, which is only about 40 minutes away from Columbia. And the people out there are absolutely great. They're wonderful folks. The people who are running the range are just the best. I mean, they are the most safe and fun-loving and just the nicest people. So if anyone listening is within earshot of that place, come on out. We'll be more than happy to have you. I'd love to meet more people.
Cool, man. Thank you so much.
Very welcome. Thanks for having me.
This portion of the show has been brought to you by the United States Concealed Carry Association. The USCCA has been providing education, training, and self-defense insurance to responsibly armed Americans since 2003. Join Tim Schmidt and myself here at usconcealedcarry.com. Check out a special offer at uscca.blackmanwithagun.com, or just check out the link for the USCCA at blackmanwithagun.com. Criminal violence in Baltimore City has surged nearly 50% in the past few years. We are now seeing violent attacks in formerly safe areas of Baltimore. Many law-abiding citizens wish to arm themselves for self-protection, but Maryland is one of just a handful of states that restrict who can carry a firearm for personal protection. Worse yet, Maryland law requires you to obtain a license to even purchase a handgun to protect yourself at home. Obtaining that purchase license is nearly impossible for some Baltimore City residents. Join Maryland Shall Issue, a nonpartisan firearm safety and education group for discussion, led by local attorney Dwight Pettit, on Maryland gun laws and how they impact responsible, law-abiding citizens who want to carry a handgun for self-protection. The event will be held December 2nd at 2:30 p.m. at the Baltimore War Memorial Hall. Visit marylandshallissue.org for more details. All right, next up is Michael J. Woodland.
Thank you, Ken, and welcome to another Tips and Review segment. I am Michael Woodland, and today we're going to discuss using a sling. Are you new to using a sling or would like to discover a simple solution to not getting tangled up or choking yourself while shooting? I think I may have a solution for you. There are a variety of slings out there that will assist in carrying your rifle of choice, and depending on the sling, you can use it to assist with your shooting. When we say assist with shooting, we are talking about giving you a benefit that could improve your shot. For instance, you can take your support hand and wrap the sling around your forearm, and the tension from that action is used to give you a more stable platform, whether you are standing, kneeling, or in the prone. Thinking outside of the box, the sling could be used as a support factor when not attached to the firearm. It could also be used in the event that someone got injured and you need to apply pressure to be applied like a tourniquet. There are many uses it can be used for, but its uses are left to your imagination. First, you have to know the different type of slings, and then from there, weigh in on the pros and cons on its intended use for your needs. You have your 1-point, 2-point, and 3-point slings. These slings vary with different companies, so your selection should go into research for your needs versus the cool factor. Let's discuss some of these products. A 1-point bungee sling is a simple solution for someone just looking for a quick fix for a sling. This is probably the easiest sling that works for both right and left-handed shooters. I did a search on the internet and I found one for $11. The downside is if you are walking, and by it being bungee, it will be bouncy depending on your cadence when you step. Another factor will be if you have to use two hands to pick something up or allow the firearm to hang. You will have it bouncing around, and depending on your situation, it could be liable for hitting the muzzle brake on the ground if you are bending over or giving some form of assistance where your hands need to be free. On a positive note, if you are going from right shoulder to left shoulder to shoot around an object or corner, for an example, you will not feel like you are getting choked from the sling. Another sling that I do own as well is the Vickers Combat Sling. This 2-point sling is very good and easy to use. The adjustable strap allows you easily to manipulate the tension value with one hand and is very durable. The cons to this sling is that if not set up properly, it will feel like too much for your needs. So you have to play with it and understand the needs and value of this particular sling. Another con is when going from right shoulder to left shoulder, it feels as if I'm choking myself out, and that is what I'm trying to avoid. The pros are this is a very durable sling and is combat proven and will get the job done. A 2-point sling offers more features and a bit more easy to use. A 3-point sling is just as it states. There are 3 points attached to the firearm. If you decide to go with that type of sling, you have to understand that the strap could allow blocking some of the controls, like the bolt release on the AR-15 or M4 rifle. Only having one encounter with 3-point sling, I've seen more disadvantages with it and did not effectively give it a chance while on deployment. The last sling we will discuss is a 2-point sling that converts to a 1-point sling, which is the Haley Strategics D3 sling. This sling is ideal for every situation and is very comfortable, and honestly, I wish I had this on my past deployments. To simply put, it has 2 quick detachments at both ends of the sling that are attached where you place the female end of the attachment on the firearm. One in the area of the foregrip for your comfort positioning and the other in the buttstock area. That is a 2-point conversion. But if you decide to take it to the 1-point configuration, it's simply unlatching the quick release tab off the front attachment point and attaching it to the sling in the receiving attachment point. Simple and easy, and gives you tons of advantages for maneuvering and shooting on the move and around objects. Cons, just take some time to get used to and understanding its features. Pros, very versatile and easy to use. Do your research and utilize what will be the best one for your needs. We all have our likes and dislikes, but most importantly, get something that can be used for a long time. For those who are looking to contact me, visit blackmanwiththegun.com and under the Leaders tab, click on my name, Michael Woodland, and shoot me an email. Until next week, keep shooting, keep practicing, and have fun. Back to you, Ken.
Thank you, Big Mike. Hey, this reminds me of that song where it says, let's go back, let's go back, let's go way back on back when I didn't even know you. You couldn't have been too much more than 10. Remember that song? It was the year 2007. Do you remember what happened 10 years ago? A student on Virginia Tech campus goes on a killing spree on April 16th, leaving over 30 students dead. A guy enters a department store and murders 8 people using a rifle in West Rhodes Mall in Omaha. Remember that? How about the guy who enters the Trolley Square Mall in Salt Lake City, Utah, and opens fire, killing 5 and injuring 4 bystanders before being shot dead by police? Do you remember the terrorist attack on Glasgow Airport? How about the bombing in the Philippines? Al-Qaeda terrorist bombing in Algeria. It was a busy year in 2007. But all the news wasn't bad. Apple introduced the iPhone back in June 29th of 2007. Nintendo had the Wii come out with the motion-sensitive controllers that made everybody go crazy. Had some blockbuster films, Pirates of the Caribbean, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Shrek the Third, Transformers, Spider-Man 3, they won't stop at that, American Gangster, and a podcast debuted called the Urban Shooter Podcast. Yeah, that one's mine. Thank you for rolling with a brother since 2007. 10 years as a podcaster. If I was a lot smarter, I'd be wealthy right now. I would have capitalized on social media. I would be so far ahead you couldn't even see the taillights on my car. But that's not how it is. I was sitting here reminiscing about all the things I've done since 2007. And one of the highlights was at the time I got a chance to go to a red carpet event in Hollywood. Now, I know there's a lot of talk about Hollywood right now, but I had a good time in Hollywood in a positive way. And I want to share a blast from the past. This is from 2010 on the Urban Shooter Podcast. After this music interlude, I'm going to take you back to a snippet from episode 187 of the Urban Shooter Podcast. When I was planning on going to California, I talk about it, and it's just interesting to me, listening to it a second and third time, about how I was thinking, how I was planning, and how my mentality was for this podcasting thing back in 2010. So let's go back in the Wayback Machine and take a listen to the thoughts before, during, and after. Hollywood Sport Clays Invitational. I've been talking about it for a few months now, and didn't quite have the money, but the wife advanced me a little bit on my kitchen pass. Got the flight out there, and a brother asked me, he said, "Man, why are you going to this?" And it is a little different from the normal pro-gun stuff that we all do and talk about. But you know, it kind of defined who I am right now. You know that old Johnny Cash song, "I've Been Everywhere, Man"? That's kind of me. I've had a good stint, a couple of decades of protecting people physically, living in their house, transporting them, VIP executive type. I've carried a firearm not for fun, but because I was going up against bad people, professionals. Most were terrorists, the rest were criminals. So my whole perspective is a little different in this whole gun thing. And I really, really, really care more about people than I do about tools. And as I progressed in my life, you'll see on this show, because you found me. I mean, you're one of the few people who actually discovered me on the net, that I'm a little bit different than the rest of the gun people. We can talk about rifles and black rifles and bolt actions and lever actions and pump shotguns and all the different actions, and we can pontificate about the pistols that are out there, and I dig all that. I love hearing you talk about it. Actually, what I really get into is you. I love people. I made a little video back before the Second Amendment rally march. It says, "I love gun people. I love anybody who loves freedom," because usually they love freedom as well and respect other people. And it's some extra stuff that goes along with it. And I just got back from Los Angeles, California. I didn't go to shoot. I didn't go to get pumped up, motivated, or anything that you usually would go. I went to learn, to expand my horizons, to meet some new people. Now, we see a lot of these people on television all the time. I wanted to see how they were in real life. And I went to support a fundraiser for the City of Hope. It's a cancer research facility out there. It's a big to-do. And actually to register as a bone marrow donor. I went to California to see a friend and a brother that I had in my wedding that I hadn't seen in about 8 years, but I've known more than 25. I went to California to get away. I went in hopes of meeting a couple of listeners to this very show that lived in California, didn't mind sneaking out, changing their routine to hang out with me. In one of those rare instances in life, I met my goals. You know, every now and then things actually work out. They did this week for me. I had a freaking excellent time in Hollywood. Now, the trip started off pretty good, and I arrived in California, and I met my Facebook brother, Tat, who was more than gracious and helpful to my crazy A. The dude is an outstanding man, and from what I can see and what I saw, a good husband and a father. Thanks, Tat, very much, brother. Now, this whole event was held at the Triple B Shotgun Range in El Monte, California. That sounds cool, doesn't it? It's a little bit outside of Los Angeles. My hotel was about 2 miles down the highway from it. Had a mall across the street, and the weather was perfect. Now, I heard it was a scorcher a couple of weeks before, and a rainstorm had hit somewhere in there too. But none of that stuff was evident this weekend. I made out like a fat rat. Next morning, with the help of my friend and brother Big Mike, he arrived early, and we rode to the range and set up a little camera on a little 20 feet of red carpet. Yeah. I was set up like media, right next to the NRA news guy, and I think this guy called from Hunt, California, something like that. There wasn't many professional media guys out there, so I was it. It was just about me and maybe 10 other guys and gals. We were the media. And remember, this whole thing was to raise money for cancer research. Now, this whole thing was put on by a dude named Patrick Kilpatrick. Dude has a commanding voice, looks like a villain. Bald head guy, was in Minority Report. What else was he in? A couple of Star Trek movies too, but they had him dressed up like something so you couldn't tell who he was. But he's a director now. I had him on a show a couple weeks ago. Well, they had this big list of all these A-lister stars, right? Colin Farrell, Tom Selleck, Lou Ferrigno, Ron Perlman, Eva Longoria, Bea Long, Jake Busey, Jesse Camacho, Jen Jamerson, Aaron Eckhart. I ain't seen none of those people. I did hang out with Joe Mantegna, Eric Estrada, Ernie Hudson, Keith David, Patrick again. This real cool brother named Michael Paul, Roger Cross, John Michael McGrath, NASCAR driver by the name of Felix Giles, Tim Abel, and Bruce Buffer. Ran into Louise Mandrell, Frank Stallone, and I think that's about it. But there's all these people that floating around that they didn't have name tags on, and I never paid any attention to TMZ, People Magazine, or them shows, so I didn't even know who they were. There's a lot of young stars that probably were known by you, but to me, they were just real fit folk. Now, all this was outside, and the place, this Triple B Range, is an outdoor facility for trap, skeet, and sporting clays, and it was sufficient. We were in this little park-like section outside of the gates of the range, and the little golf carts took the sporting clay contestants to the sporting clays part. And I just hung out. And talked to the vendors, talked to the actors that weren't hung on themselves, and met some really cool people. And of course, made sure I checked out the tent for the bone marrow donor program. See how they got this thing where they have to type your HLAs or something to find the right match for you? Well, I did that. See, this range, I thought if you were in a recreational shooter in the gun-unfriendly state of California, you didn't have anywhere to go. But I found out there's a few ranges around. It's about like Maryland. And because of my brother from another mother, Tat, I saw a lot more of the backyard of LA than I would have if I went on my own. Dude went on his way, or out of his way, to give me a good look at everything. And I arrived at the Bob Hope Airport, and that was a good looking out. A couple of you guys on Facebook told me not to go to LAX, and I really, really appreciate that tip. Okay, back to the red carpet. The first of the VIPs to arrive, they kind of came sporadically. And again, no name tag, nothing, just dressed down guys. So if I didn't really know them, the fact that they marched them onto this little red carpet piece kind of told me that, all right, these guys are somebody. But I was too close. I mean, there was like no warning. And the host, the big dude from Minority Report, the director of Uncommon Dialogue Films, I'm going to let you hear his voice. He was pretty cool.
Triple B Clays is the fundamental sponsor here. They were the ones who put up the initial development money so that we could put this together and have everything follow after that. So if you see Billy or Bruce, who are the owners here, the course looks beautiful. The course looks beautiful, and it's been created especially for this crowd. Bruce has done an extraordinary job, along with John Strong has contributed. And so I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to everybody who's helped to put this on. The Navy SEALs, the Army, the Air Force, the Coast Guard. Well, we don't have the Coast Guard. The Marines. The Marines land on every dirty job that we've had for hundreds of years that they got here, and they've really helped us out in every way. They're a wonderful service, and I hope you guys revere them as much as I do. My father got a Silver Star at Okinawa, and I'm a Sons of the American Revolution. So this country is the finest country on the planet. We have liberated 50 million people in Iraq and Afghanistan, and all of you should be proud of that as Americans. So God bless you all.
All right, thank you very much, Patrick Kilpatrick. Ladies and gentlemen, I know we've got the safety coming. I got the Pauls from Triple B. Pauls, are you ready to give a little safety overview here for our masses? Come on down. Let's get this started.
Yeah, let's get it started. So this is I'm going to walk you through this thing with me with all my flubs and mistakes. I'm using this program. It's the first time I ever did it. I had a little flip camera. I had my little zoom, and I was a mess, man. I was just too close to stuff. And I actually got all starstruck with these first couple of interviews because the guys kind of walked on top of me and I wasn't ready. By the end of the day, I sounded more professional and it was kind of embarrassing. But see if you recognize this voice before I tell you who it is.
Did you work with Steve? I did. I used to work there, and then we were coming down here for this event.
All right, this is one of the first guys that I talked to, and we're on the red carpet, and there's thousands of people. Well, not thousands. There's 100 people all around us, and I'm right there in front, and you're right there with me right now. So here we go.
Yeah, no, I know. He was great. Good. Well, good seeing you, man. Great.
Ernie, it's a pleasure to meet you, man.
Yeah, nice meeting you too.
I do a podcast called The Urban Shooter, and I would like to get a quick shot of you. Just
sure.
Take a little picture right there. Thank you, man. Dragon Ball Z was funny.
Hey. Oh yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, but I've been following you forever, dude. I'm really glad that you were here.
Oh, thank you so much.
When I saw that the thing was here and that you want to be here, I was like, well, I'm coming from D.C. I'm going to make sure I got here.
Good, man. Good. Yeah, tell me your name again.
Ken Blanchard.
Ken.
Keep doing what you do, man.
Thanks, man. You too.
All right, thanks, man.
We have to.
Now, what was cool about Ernie Hudson is that he had his son with him, or one of his sons. I think he has more than one. And right before these French journalists kind of bum rushed me and pushed me out the way, it was nice. I mean, just a regular guy. He was the first guy that I really talked to, and he stuck around most of the day. I'm a big fan of Ernie Hudson. He's maybe not an A-lister to you, but the dude has some serious skills as an actor. Dragon Ball Z notwithstanding. But how about when he was that guy in The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, the caretaker, playing like a slow person? See? Yeah, that was cool. Now, this guy got me all messed up because I really dig him and I love that he does voice, but I got starstruck really bad. I'm kind of embarrassed. You come this way, Mr. Key. Man, thank you. Pleasure to meet you, sir. Can I get a picture real quick? Came away from D.C. to make sure I saw it. You hear all the voices, right? I do a little podcast called The Urban Shooter. and my son and I are like big fans because we follow you whenever you do a voiceover. We go, that's him again. It's
All right.
So keep
How
on.
old is your son?
He's 19 now.
Okay.
He hopes to do the same thing someday.
Oh, well, got to be in it. Keep at it, man.
Any tips for aspiring voiceover artists?
Study, get a good voiceover class. Listen. Mostly listen.
Really?
Yeah. It's all about ear training. What do you want to hear? What do you want to communicate? Why is your voice different than anybody else's?
Cool.
Find your own uniqueness. That's what I would say.
How long you been shooting, man?
Not very long at all. This is my first shoot, actually.
Even for recreational?
I've gone to the range a couple of times, but I've always been fascinated, especially with shooting skeet. So, I'm very anxious.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's cool.
See what I can do.
Well, I'll be following. Hope you do well today.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay, right when a brother thought it was safe to get back in the water, I snagged him again and asked him about his next movie. His project is called The Cape, coming out on regular television.
And I actually teach him how to become the Cape.
That's nice.
I give him the skills.
Nice.
Teach them how to become the Cape.
So you mind if we get a picture with you with the Navy color guard?
All right, my man.
Hungry.
All right, it was kind of like this the rest of the morning, and in that group, I got a chance to see quite a few people and talk to them as real people as they are, and I really enjoyed myself.
Nice shirt, Doc.
I don't want to bore you too long, but I'm going to pull a couple of folks you might know right after this break.
Hi, I'm Mark Craighead, founder of CrossBreed Holsters. I designed our top-selling holster, the Super Tuck Deluxe, to solve the problems of being poked, pinched, and gouged while carrying concealed. The Super Tuck Deluxe is the most comfortable, most concealable holster on the market today. We offer a 2-week free trial and a lifetime warranty.
Visit us at CrossBreedHolsters.com. Don't forget CrossBreedHolsters.com.
Luckily, I got a little better as time went on, and I remembered to be an interviewer and not a starstruck groupie. So here's Tim Abel.
Mr. Abel, welcome to the Urban Shooter Podcast. It's nice to meet you, actually.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, too.
Man, tell me about what you're doing.
I do a lot of things. Being prior military, for me, gun ownership, for me, was prior to the military.
Okay.
So I grew up hunting as a kid.
All right.
And growing up hunting, you have a respect for firearms, a respect for what they can do, and the harm that they can do, but also the good that they can bring to you as well.
Totally.
So, military experience really took me into a different place where, the weapons, where they became no longer guns, but now they're weapons because they're for a specific purpose.
Absolutely.
And I found that it's one of these things of being an NRA instructor now outside for rifle and pistol and shotgun and whatnot, and work with the Boy Scouts.
Oh, do you?
That anytime you say weapon, it's one of those things within the NRA mandates now, even within Boy Scouts. Well, you know what? Can we call this guns, not weapons? So it took me a while to get that out. But that said, I came to Los Angeles to be an actor, and after my military service, and then went to college. And the acting thing, I've done lots of military type films and TV shows. There was a Bruckheimer series called Soldiers of Fortune that was on for 2 years. We Were Soldiers Once and Young. The film that was made was in that, and just a bunch of films, a lot heavily in that area. Did one called Soldier of God, and myself. Now, what I like to think of is this new show that I'm doing called Grateful Nation. Is that I've taken my slight celebrity and been able to, in military experience, and take that into the realm of outdoor TV, and I'm able to take wounded warriors coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, take those guys out, and to help with their rehabilitation to get their life back on track, back into the civilian world if that's where they want to go, or to stay within the military. But it's really an interview show, kind of like what you're doing. But I take a guy out and we learn about their service, their sacrifice, their wounds, their rehabilitation, the family support that they have, everything that's good and bad. Because a lot of guys, there's those guys who come back who have a wonderful support system, loving wife, got the kids, or just the mom and dad and family. And then there's other guys who come back and are hit with divorce papers, who don't have that support system and lay in a hospital bed and, they drink and take their pain meds and sort of check out of society. And it's not good. Those are the guys that you want to watch for all kinds of bad things happening to them. And so what we try to do with our show is find these guys, get them out, talk to them about what happened. It's not always comfortable because it's a very poignant show. Some of the questions I ask about being blown up by an IED and what the ramifications of that, what happens with that, what happens when you're caught on fire alive, and how do you deal with the burns and scars. And one young man had his entire lower jaw blown off, and how do you deal with that and have them rebuild that? And I find beautiful stories, though. Some are very tragic, and some are uplifting. And you see how the way the world works. One young man out of Texas said, his name was Dahmer, Louis Dahmer, great guy. He tells a story, and I thought he was going to have this really sort of tragic ending about how he can't understand how he could have been dealt this hand. Well, he said to me, he says, Tim, I lost my lower jaw, but I got my arms, I got my legs, I got my insides, got my brain. And while I was in the hospital at Brooks Army Medical Facility, I met the woman I'm going to marry. He's now married. And he said, the God works very strange ways sometimes, but he goes, I never would have met that woman. I never would have found her had this not happened. He goes, so for me, this is all part of God's plan. Here I am, and you know what? I see guys that are much worse off than me, so I'm just happy to be alive. So I get different stories like that as well. So it's very, very humbling for me to be with these guys and talk about what they've done and experienced and what they've seen. Yeah. So that's kind of what I do, and I'm really proud of that. I'm proud of some of the work as an actor, but I'm really proud of what I do as the host of ESPN's Grateful Nation. That's a wonderful thing.
Thank you. Hey, for everything you've done.
You're welcome. We have to go
Jim,
shoot.
We gotta go.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Is that good stuff? You good with that?
Pleasure meeting you, sir.
Likewise, sir. The voice you heard on the side was Carlos Fiocchi of Fiocchi Ammunition. He kind of came into the conversation and made a little intro while we were talking there. It was kind of cool. It was just like that. I mean, I was just kind of wandering around. I didn't even know half the people. It's just a darn shame. And I wandered into this one spot where this photographer was taking pictures, but in all honesty, she was like gorgeous. And I thought it was like a fake. It's like, how can you have a model taking pictures? But here goes. I had to see who the heck she was.
Jeneba. I've met Jeneba at the celebrity shooting thing today, and I just had to interview her because she was taking photos of everybody else, and I thought, this is like a special person. Jeneba, welcome to the Urban Shooter Podcast.
Thank you so much.
Tell me about what you do.
So I'm a photographer and a performer, so I'm here to shoot people, but I normally do more like an artistic photography, so I try to catch moods and actions, and I like to do pictures with a soul.
Nice. How can we see your work? How can we get some of these things?
I've got a few websites, but the main one would be www.jeneba, DJENEBA, -sign or dash ADUAYOM.com.
Excellent. Thanks a lot. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I got to admit something. Everybody has imperfections and things that are wrong with them. My mind started to wander on this one, but luckily I heard this little voice inside my head that got me back on track.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
And if you don't understand what I'm talking about, then that's just fine. We'll just keep on moving. Hey, check this out.
I'm here with Tom Munson at Trigicon, and Trigicon is an interesting site. I know some of you guys already know all about Tritium sites and Trigicon, but it was kind of new to me. And I'm going to have Tom just tell you about it like he told me.
Okay, so the thing that sets Trigicon apart is all of our optics are illuminated reticles, and we use fiber optic and tritium to illuminate the reticles, so we don't use batteries for the most part. So the fiber optic collects the ambient light, whether it's the sunlight or maybe lights inside of a room, collects that light and funnels it down to the aiming point. So you always have an illuminated aiming point. When there's no ambient light or very little light, then you have a tritium lamp inside the scope that illuminates the aiming point in darkness or near darkness. So no matter what, 24/7, you always have an illuminated aiming point, no batteries. We make scopes for military. We have the TA-31 RCO ACOG is our ACOG that goes on every gun in the Marine Corps. We have about 250,000 ACOGs in the U.S. Army. And then we make law enforcement optics. We make hunting optics. You can put them on your hunting rifle, your shotgun. We also make pistol night sights and pistol optics as well.
I'm a pistol guy. Tell me about this one.
So this is our RMR, stands for Ruggedized Miniature Reflex. It's meant to be just as tough as the Combat ACOG, made out of forged aluminum housing. And it comes in both a battery version, which has a red dot in it. You can choose either a 4-minute dot or an 8-minute dot in the battery version. And then we have a non-battery version, a dual illuminated with the fiber optic and the tritium, no battery. And in that version, you can either choose a 7-minute or a 9-minute or a 13-minute dot. And all of those are mountable on a pistol or on a shotgun or on a carbine or whatever. There's multiple uses for that particular sight.
Would this be a good thing for home defense?
Absolutely, yeah. It takes a little training to use a red dot on a pistol because most people aren't used to that concept. Once you get the concept down, though, it's absolutely faster than regular sights because you'll just instantly see that dot.
And speed is everything.
Absolutely.
Even though you know that speed is fine, but accuracy is final. We're going to change up a little bit. And this product here, it was a little odd for this environment, but I was in California.
I'm at a different kind of booth here at the Celebrity Shoot for Rockstar Puppy. And you guys know how much I love my dog. I just found out that they have motorcycle helmets and shirts for motorcycle pups. Tell me about this business.
Well, we're an online boutique, rockstar-puppy.com. We have airbrushed motorcycle dog helmets. They're all hand airbrushed. And we also have a line of T-shirts. Our brand is Pup Rocker. And in addition to the helmets and T-shirts, we also have anything else you'd want to find at a pet boutique.
Outstanding.
Motorcycle pet carriers that attach to the bike.
Ooh, I want one of those. How small, how big can your dog be?
I'd say anything from maybe a 4 to 5 pound dog up to maybe 120 pound dog.
Oh.
Yeah.
So my pooch can ride.
It also depends on the head size as well. So.
For a Doberman, 60 pounds.
Yeah, probably the big one back there would fit.
I have to get a blue one to match mine.
And we can do, the artist can do pretty much anything you want. We add names, custom designs.
Website again.
rockstar-puppy.com.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, just in case you can't tell, what I was doing was, as I was going around the event, I stopped at the vendor's booth that I thought might be of interest to somebody on my show and pulled them aside and threw a microphone in their face. So here we go with Storm Tactical.
All right, I am with Storm Tactical with Mark Hartwell. Man, welcome to the Urban Shooter Podcast.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Tell me about Storm Tactical.
Well, what we do is we produce long-range data books for precision rifle shooters, also called snipers in the military. Mm-hmm. We sell these books primarily to law enforcement and military snipers, as well as the long-range tactical marksmen that do the competitions all over the U.S. and all over the world. We sell these books all over the world. We have different varieties of the books printed on different kinds of paper at different price points. And what these books allow you to do is log your data on your long-range rifles, your scope data, your environmental conditions, for example, the daytime weather, barometric pressure, density, altitude, so you can check that. They call it the external ballistics of that projectile as it leaves the rifle. And these guys are really concerned with, half an inch at several hundred yards and things like that. So they want to be absolutely precise. It's very scientific. These books basically are your recording device where you manually record all this data. So you have it on your hand. You go back after that range a year later into the same kind of weather conditions. You know exactly how your rifle's going to shoot, so you know the elevation to put on your scope. these rifles, it's over $1 a round to shoot these things now, so you don't want to be wasting ammunition all day getting where you could be if you have a book that already tells you where you need to be. That and all the calculators they've got out there now, the weather meters, the iPods and everything, got all these little ballistic apps on there. And you still, you get your hard copy in case any of that stuff dies on you.
Yeah.
You're out in the field. You still want to have that good written document. Also, for the law enforcement guys, they get called into court if they have a shooting. They have the record. We have the principal targets that match the books that we give them for free, unlimited, no copyright. They can have all the targets they want to print. Okay. We give them on a CD-ROM that comes with the book. So they've got targets, an instruction manual, and a book, all for a real affordable price. And also what we do is for every book we sell, we donate a book to the snipers. So in the last couple of years, we've given out well over 500 books.
Nice.
So,
what's your website? How can they contact?
It's www.stormtactical.com.
Stormtactical.com. All right, good deal. Thanks, Mark, so much, man.
My pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Let me get a couple of pictures of you, too.
Right around here, I ran into a really cool brother by the name of Felix Giles, a black NASCAR driver.
I do a podcast called The Urban Shooter, and just trying to keep responsible in the city and just keep the word out that it's for everybody. The sport's kind of equal. How long have you been into this thing?
Well, I mean, I'm a race car driver.
All right.
Anything else, but I'm ex-military, so I mean, I've done a lot of shooting.
What you shooting, NASCAR? I mean, you ride NASCAR?
I raced the NASCAR truck series and score off-road, like the Baja 1000.
Yeah?
So first black in history to race the Baja 1000.
Come on over here. Got your picture, Doc? Got it?
I'll get you one more, though.
All right. Send that one to Ebony, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here, man.
Pleasure.
As you can tell, I got kind of silly there a couple times. I was just having a ball, just meeting people, talking to them, exchanging business cards, writing stuff down. And this was the first annual event for this. I don't know what's going to lead to, but I'm glad you took this little trip with me. There's a whole bunch of people in here that I didn't even mention, like Louise Mandrell, Frank Stallone, Bruce Buffer from the UFC. I'm probably forgetting some other people. Real cool guy, like by the name of Michael Paul, who is an actor on All My Children, the soap, and he's going to be producing a new reality show. And just some salt of the earth people, even in Hollywood. Well, that's it for now. And I hope you didn't mind. But I wanted to take you with me on those last 30 minutes of just how it was. For me, anyway. In between actually hobnobbing and talking and joking and just being myself and getting caught up. This episode was a good reminder for me. It reminded me of what's important. You. I really care that you're still listening, that maybe you're a new person since 2007, and that's cool. I'm hoping that you find out this show is a lot different than everybody else's podcast, everybody else's blog, everybody else's Instagram, Facebook pages, and that. This short story reminds me of a quote that says, "Do not judge my story by the chapter that you walked in on." Learned a lot in my old age. I'm learning that life is kind of weird like that. It takes sadness to know what happiness is. It takes noise to appreciate silence and absence to value presence. Thank you again for being a part of this podcast, part of my audience, part of my friends on Facebook, on the Black Man with the Gun Show podcast page, and wherever else you find me. Wouldn't have gone this far without you. If there's anything I can do for you, feel free to give me a jingle, a call, an email. My contact information can be found at blackmanwiththegun.com. The Second Amendment is more than just something cute to say. I don't carry a gun to kill people. I carry a gun to keep from being killed. I don't carry a gun to scare people. I carry a gun because sometimes this world can be a scary place. I don't carry a gun because I'm paranoid. I carry a gun because there are real threats in this world. I don't carry a gun because I'm evil. I carry a gun because I've lived long enough to see the evil that's here. I don't carry a gun because I hate the government.
I carry a gun because I understand the limitations of my government. I don't carry a gun because I'm angry. I carry one so that I don't have to spend the rest of my life hating myself for failing to be prepared. I don't carry a gun because I want to shoot somebody. I carry a gun because I want to die a ripe old age in my bed and not on the sidewalk somewhere tomorrow afternoon. I don't carry a gun because I'm a cowboy. I like cowboys. But I carry a gun because when I die and go to heaven, I want to be a cowboy. I don't carry a gun to make me feel like a man. I carry a gun because men know how to take care of themselves and the ones that they love. I don't carry a gun because I feel inadequate. I carry a gun because unarmed and facing armed thugs, I am inadequate. I don't carry a gun because I love it. I carry a gun because I love life. Really do. I am pro-life. My life. And really, I carry a gun because I'm too old to die and too old to take a butt whooping. Can I get an amen, somebody? That's it for this week, and just in case nobody has told you this today, I love you. And it's not a damn thing you can do about it, homie. Until next time, shalom, baby.
Until next time, friends.
To keep in touch with Ken and his cause, head over to blackmanwithagun.com.